Hi, hello. Okay, I have my 100% cotton paper tape down. I have sprayed it generously with water. We are going to attempt this Aurora Borealis for Paint Your Style this week. I'm not a huge fan of painting these anymore. I think I got a little burnt out. So bear with me. I'm not probably gonna go for what it is in the painting. Again, I burnt myself way out on these things, and I don't find joy in them anymore. So I'm just going to play with color, and I'm gonna use some Christy Rice here. And I don't know, again, that this is gonna feel very successful to me. I'm already going into it with kind of a, Debbie Downer feel. It's just not. And I do say don't paint what doesn't bring you joy, but I do try to push myself in these weekly paint-alongs because I think it is important to push yourself. But I feel like I have given enough of these a try. They're just not my cup of tea, and I think that's okay. And I think it's also fine if you love them and they are your cup of tea. That's awesome too. I think that whatever works for you, whatever feels right for you, is what is right, and especially that can change in the moment, in the time, in the climate, in the season, whatever's going on in the outside world. All these things can affect us, right? Whatever's going on in our minds, in our mental health, or whatever else we have going on, right? There's a lot of factors that can definitely play a big fat role in how we feel about things, and I feel that's pretty darn huge, and that's pretty darn important. So I'm just going to use some color and see what I feel about it. I might not tell you all the colors I use because I don't think this is going to be something that you're going to want to necessarily go along and paint, especially how I'm doing it. But maybe somehow something I do or say will bring you some sort of something inspiration, whether it be directly inspired or loosely inspired. We don't want that to happen. So let's go ahead and just dry this, and the paint will be less likely to go down there. We can deal with that later. Again, I am just not finding my joy within these, so that's something you can consider on how you feel about painting these. So with that being said, I am not going to stay directly really intrigued or stay firm to the reference here. I'm just going to play with this, get some color, and then we're going to take our water and we're going to spray that. Move it whichever way we want, up, down, sideways, turn it around, make it do the hokey pokey, whatever you would like. I don't even know what the hokey pokey is, so let's hope it's not something that I'm not supposed to say anymore. It very well could be. Hopefully, again, it's not. I don't want to say something inappropriate. That's not my intentions here. Let's see, let's maybe put some more blue in here, and we can move it all around. Maybe we want some blue down here. We can also take some watered down paint, drop it in there, and see what things do. Start from the top and do that as well. If you want a little more coverage, and kind of just bring it through things. What I would highly recommend, if you're not super comfortable with these or don't enjoy them, but you're doing it anyway, or you're pushing yourself or outside of your comfort, what I would highly suggest is not paying great attention to the reference. You can go ahead and use those colors, but I wouldn't get hyper fixated on where they're supposed to go and what they're supposed to do. I feel like that will definitely hinder you and kind of put a uncomfortable pressure on you to do what the picture does. And you don't think that's gonna make it any more fun for you. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna focus on maybe a few of these areas. We could grab a little more green just to drop in here maybe. Some spring greens, some fluorescent greens. You could also just kind of randomly stick. Maybe you want a little more brightness down here. It's pretty dang bright. Okay, you can push and pull, you can pick up paint. Okay, you can kind of do whatever you want with that there. Keep moving. If you don't like those streaks in there, you can pull things a certain way. You can pull them down at an angle to kind of help feel that movement. You know, because essentially these are moving, right? When you're watching them in person. I've never seen them in person, so I don't really know. But I've seen people record them, and I'm assuming they're constantly kind of flowing. Not necessarily, I don't know if they flow as quick as we see. I feel like those are sped up. Okay, we're just gonna do this. And then what we are going to do while this is still wet, there's a tree line back here. What we're gonna do is take our indigo, pretty heavy. I'm still kind of tilting my board so it doesn't run down. I'm just gonna tap in a tree line back here. And I'm not going to be, okay. Okay, we're just going to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a tippy tap, tip, 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 tip. There we go, a little bit of there. All right, and then we can just sort of kind of take our color and we can give ourselves some land here if we want to. Okay, and then we can also come back in and give ourselves some dry brushing, sort of dry brushing, shadowish area here. We want. I don't like the hard lines of dry brushing, so I'm going to go ahead and tap that out. I'm going to wet this all is what I'm going to do, and then I want all soft. I don't want those hard lines, but you can absolutely do those hard lines if that's what you're into. Okay, I just want a few of those, and then maybe just a small one that goes like that. There we go. Okay. This one up here is a little darker, but we still want to leave those little bits of light. So I'm going to go ahead and leave those. And then after this dries a little bit more, I will go back with a heat tool and dry it. But I do want to let it dry on its own a little bit more before I heat tool it, because we want to give this thing time to diffuse, kind of meld in itself. I want to fix anything that we see we don't care for. That's a little bit dark right there, so I'm going to take my brush and just soften that a little bit. We can also get that fuzz out of there. Okay, and then we can also help this move along by taking a damp brush, just adding a little bit of water to that. Grab that fuzz that I just put back in there. There we go. And so see how now this is doing that? That's kind of what we wanted. Okay, and we can smooth that out a little bit. And we can come back and add some more dark if we wanted right here, because it is a pretty dark area. It's our darkest area. It's pretty light over here in the photo. I'm not gonna bother with that. I'm not here to replicate the photo. I'm just here to maybe inspire you to paint it, even if it's not your thing either. Like, it isn't mine necessarily, but you know, Sometimes we do things that make us uncomfortable, experience things that make us uncomfortable. Helps us be better people, more rounded people. Helps us remind ourselves to be more open-minded to things in the world and life, every day, day to day. Maybe helps us to deal with our children, our pets, our partners, whatever that may be. All right, I think I got all the fuzzes out. One last thing I'm gonna do before I really set it to dry is I'm going to splatter. I don't typically use a toothbrush very often for my splatter. It makes a mess and it's all over my hand. I don't like it, to be honest. So I don't use it often, but I'm gonna cover everywhere. So I would highly suggest if you do this, cover everything. So I'm gonna get everything covered, all my pellets way far away too, because this stuff likes to just fly. And I'm not joking when it says it likes to when I say. Okay, so what I do is I wet my brush. I'm going to dip it in my jar. I can do a practice run, roll up my sleeve. I'm just gonna flick it like this. And we should just get little tiny little lights. And we wanna do it while it's wet, first time, because we want some not to be so crystal clear, right? We want them to fade a little bit. Rinse my brush like I rinse all of my brushes. Dry that off a little bit. And we're gonna let this dry. And then we'll add another layer of white splatter. After this dries, remove these for now, just for the aesthetics. Makes me feel like it looks better. Don't forget to put your lid on your jar in between. This stuff does dry out. Mine's gonna let this sit for a few more minutes, and then I'm gonna hit it with a heat tool and finish the job. Let's finish up. Let's add some trees. You're gonna wanna use your favorite brush that you are most comfortable with painting trees. So whatever that may be for you, go ahead and grab that. I'm gonna grab a little more indigo. Here, I'll mix it over here for you. I'm just gonna mix it with whatever's on this palette already. And we're going to, get the fuzz off there. Let's follow suit. And we'll put a tree right here, up tall. So we have some tree foliage playing out here. Just some side to side for the trees here. What you can do when you get to the bottom, what I like to do is take a brush, clean water, and soften that bottom so it doesn't look like it just stuck out. The trees in the reference are not these kind that go all the way to the bottom, but the kind I'm making are, so totally up to you. Make your trees how you want them, make your trees how you like them. You are the storyteller here, so create your story that you want to tell. You don't have to do what others are doing or what you see in the reference photo. I'm not here to recreate the reference photo. I am here to be inspired by that reference photo and turn it into my own story, my own thing here, right? I'm not here to recreate something that's already really well done. Okay, that tree kind of gets lost, but that's okay. Let's do another tree maybe over here. Okay. Again, taking the brush and just loosening that bottom part up just a little bit. Okay, we've got 3. Maybe we do one over here. A little suggestion of one. Maybe we do another one over here in the darker area, which, yes, it's not going to show up that much, but I don't know how much I want to cut into my sky. I am going to do one right, let's pick a spot. Let's go right here, since I don't love how bright that is, but it'll be perfect for the tree. So it'll really stand out against that. So there we go. Let's take our damp brush and just blend that out a little bit. We've got 6, we need an odd number, so let's do another one. Maybe right here. All right. Again. Okay, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, an odd number. Odd is always good. Cleaning up that edge a little. Okay, let's go ahead and dry this. Oh, I see I got a little shimmer in some of these trees from some old paint there. It's kind of a cool effect actually. It's kind of a bronzy greeny shimmer and it's actually pretty neat. So let's try, maybe we can see it more. Go ahead and add our last layer of splatter. And we're gonna cover up again so that our white doesn't go all over it. We don't actually want the white at the bottom. I don't anyway, you could, like snow, but we're just gonna do the stars here. So I'm gonna cover up pretty well. This is bleed proof white, if I didn't mention that before. I'm gonna roll it off on my cloth over here so that we're not getting a ton of huge drops. You could also do a little sample somewhere else. Start off splattering lighter, tapping lighter, or however you do it. So you don't want a ton of big ones. I could have used the toothbrush again here for those really fine ones, which maybe I will after we get those big ones. All right. Re-wet my brush, dip it in, and you can do a little practice run so you don't get a bunch of water. You actually don't want it watered down too badly because then they won't show up at all. So there you go. You just want a bunch of these little fine, that's a lot. Probably not as many as I've wanted. So you could potentially, they dry pretty quick, but sometimes if you hit some of them soon enough, you can just lighten some of the bigger ones. That'll kind of help tone it all down a little bit. And if you want the big ones, that's fine too. Do whatever you like. If you like the big old giant stars, go for it. If you want one big star somewhere out there, go for that too. If you don't want them at all, don't add them. Here we go. I did this on my block from All About International. If you want to purchase one, you can go to my link in my bio and there's a discount code Amber10. You can also just use a discount code Amber10. I don't think you have to actually use the link. So whatever works for you. Can't wait to see yours. I hope you enjoy painting these more than I do. And I can't wait to see yours. All right, bye.